to talk with us. His name is Sam Reynolds, and he is a former Pueblo student, and he is an author. He's written a couple of books. And so he's going to talk to us a little bit about how he goes about writing, and the ups and downs, and everything else that goes with it. So please give him your full attention.
Hello everyone. Like Kathy said, I am Sam Reynolds. I used to be a Pueblo student here, and I'm here to talk to you about what I do. So I am 17. I went to Pueblo in my 6th grade year during 2010, 2011. I was the original Spirit Dogs team, as you can see by my amazing t-shirt. I had Miss Siminek. I know she still goes here. Miss Pate was my science teacher. She retired. Ms. Lagerquist did history, I know she's still here, and Ms. Alba was my math, and she is now in Oregon. See, I attend a charter school now in Mesa called Heritage Academy. It's right in the middle of downtown, right across from the Mesa Arts Center. I am a junior there, and I'll be graduating next year. So how the books began. It was the summer before my 6th grade year going to Pueblo, and it was one of those days where, like, you know, you're with your best friend, you're in the pool, you're eating barbecue chips, and all of a sudden you just think to yourself, I'm going to write a book. And that's basically how it happened. I started writing like the next day, and I took the idea from like dinosaurs. I loved dinosaurs when I was like a little tyke in 2nd grade, and I decided to use the whole Jurassic Park kind of thing to kind of base my book idea of having dinosaurs in real life. Now, writing 2 books at the same time and how that doesn't always work. Actually, it never works. When I started conceiving the series, I said, okay, there's going to be 4 books. This is how it's going to happen for each one. But then I thought to myself, oh, if I write the 1st book and the 3rd book at the same time, I can get more books done faster. No. I eventually focused more on the 3rd book rather than the 1st one, and I'm like, well, I can't do this because when you're balancing continuity and events that have to happen in one and the other to make sure they all even out, it's just too hard, and I had to trash nearly everything I wrote in that book. Pueblo used to have a writing club. I wish I had my binder here to show you guys, where they would encourage students to do like creative writing or like write a story or something like that. And then they would publish it on this really nice paper and give it to them in this binder, and they could keep it and they take it home. It's so cool. And I did that for a little bit that I wrote with that book, and concept over actual writing philosophy. I was a lot more focused on how the characters were going to look, and I would draw them like crazy. I would do different iterations instead of actually writing what they were going to do in the story. And that's a problem that I really had to overcome in 6th grade, of trying to get this ball rolling. And that's one of the things that I would give to you guys first is, if you're writing a story or writing a book, don't focus so much on how it's going to look, because you can worry about that later. You can have ideas and stuff in your head all you want, but if you don't actually do the writing, then it's never going to get done. So publishing. I used to have a friend who went here. Her name was Lily Stewart. She introduced me to NaNoWriMo. It's National Novel Writing Month, and basically how the company works is they have a writers program for adults and for youth, and I did the youth one. And basically they have it every November. You have to write a book in 30 days with at least 30,000 words or more. And if you beat your word goal, then you win the competition, and you get to publish with Amazon's publishing company called CreateSpace. And I entered in November of 2014. I won the competition. I used that to finish my book, and I created my CreateSpace account. Basically what you do is you upload your interior file, whether it's a document or a PDF or whatever, and you can create your own cover with their cover designer software, and once you send it to them and they approve it within 24 hours, within the next few days it's on Amazon.com, which is really, really cool. My completed projects. I will charge for a bit. So, this first book, this is the first edition of Dino Hunters Part 1, where you see the title's kind of different than the rest of them. That's one of the things that I had to change. One of my main problems was I was focusing so much on getting the book done as quick as I could within the 30-day thing that I didn't focus on editing, and that there was so many mistakes in here that I cringe a little bit and Then I took some editing, and I had to release a second version, which is this one right here. Then I realized I changed the text a little bit. Then I realized, oh, there's still more errors. So I took a black pen and did this thing like any English teacher would do to your paper. And once I got all those edits done after many days of working hard, I was able to get to this final version of Dinah Hunters Part 1 with the same title, and it's got a few errors, and it's the best version of this book that I have. Let's see, I'm going to talk about Part 2, and then I'm going to read you guys the summaries of both. So Part 2, if you've been following the timeline, I started this in 2010, and it took me till 2014 to actually finish that book. One of the main problems was I would write. I'd write a chapter, I'd write 2 chapters, and then I wouldn't write for like a month. And then I would write a little bit more, and then I wouldn't write for like a month and a half. Like I would increase my writing, but I'd also increase my slacking off, which was not an effective way to get a book done. And Part 2, I cut that time in half drastically and got this done in 4 months. It's about double the size of the first book, and it's got little errors because I had my friend and me co-edit this together, so I wouldn't have to do it all by myself. And it was really nice of him to do that because he helped me conceive the series in the first place. So now I'm going to read you guys the summaries of both books. Harrison Lumina was just an ordinary teenager living in Minneapolis, Minnesota. He and his 7 friends would soon experience the greatest tragedy of their time, because they would be the ones to save mankind from total annihilation. What seemed as a night at the prom turned to a gory disaster, and what seemed as normal was all thrown away. The city was destroyed, and a man was claimed responsible. He did what no one thought was possible. He bred species that were lost to the ravages of time. He reanimated prehistoric dinosaurs for one purpose: to wreak havoc. Will Harrison and his friends be able to stop them in time? Will the villain be brought to justice, or bring the world down to its knees? Will the government try to sabotage the mission rather than aid our heroes? Will the group known as the Hunters complete the task ahead, or come short and seal humankind's extinction? Discover it in this novel full of intense action, romance, mysteries around every corner, and a story that will keep you on the edge of your seat begging for more. The truth, the real story, is unveiled in the beginning of this deadly journey, Dinah Hunters Part 1. And then on to Part 2, Armageddon. Left in ruins with a member dead, the ships obliterated, the hunters' only objective left in ruins with a member dead, and the ships obliterated. The hunters' only objective left is to survive. The island of Torontico is a place of many secrets, and the group discovers these secrets as they try to uncover the mysteries of the island. Oliver Jensen still poses a grave threat to society and the world, greater than ever before. Will they be able to cage the dinosaur threat in time? Or will they be forced to take extreme measures and change their objective entirely in order to save the world? Harrison and those who remain will be put to the ultimate test that will either unite them together or sever them permanently. Dive into the highly anticipated sequel to Dinah Hunters Part 1 and follow the hunters through the next phase of their perilous, life-threatening journey in Dinah Hunters Part 2, Armageddon. So that's the summaries of both books, and now I'm going to give you all a little taste, a little sneak peek of my upcoming project. Now, coming soon this spring is going to be my next novel called Deadlock. It's not going to be called Dinah Hunters Part 3 for various reasons, one of which, if you read the books, you'll find out why. I originally had planned to have this out last December to commemorate the 1-year anniversary of publishing the first book, but sadly my life got in the way and that didn't happen. So I'm trying to have this one out as soon as possible, which means I need to pick it up and write somewhere. This is going to be the cover background image for it. The 5 birds, they're symbolic, they represent something. So I'm going to read you guys the summary of that book. Although the hunters managed to escape the clutches of Oliver Jensen on Torontico, he still remains a great threat. Thought to be dead, there was nothing left to stop him from unleashing the final phase of his ultimate plan, making humanity pay the price. Finding themselves on the run, will the team be able to end Jensen's plans before they come to fruition? Or, when faced with a bounty on their heads, will Harrison's actions risk the future of humanity? Just over a year after the first in the series was released, the next chapter of the long-lost secret series has arrived. Join Harrison and his team as they once again have to fight their way to survive through this epic yet grim journey. Prepare, as all hope seems lost and all hell breaks loose in Deadlock. So my plans for the future as an author. Out of the 4 books in the series, with 2 of them done, I'm planning to have 2 more done. Deadlock will be this spring, and 4th, called Annihilation, will be out later this year. I'm planning to hopefully visit more schools. I've really enjoyed these visits that I've done so far today. I've been over at Paloma with the 5th graders. They really enjoyed these visits as well. And I hope that using the talents that I have as a creative writer and an author and a storyteller, that I can accomplish one of my greatest goals in life, which is to show the world what I'm capable of doing and how far I'm willing to go to make something as perfect as it can be. And I do that with my stories, characters, and dialogue. So now, we're going to have a little bit of a Q&A with the time that we have left, and so ask your questions away. Tell me your name.
My name's
Elijah.
I have like a whole bunch of questions.
Well,
But,
ask them all.
One, I'm trying on making like a movie.
I would really hope that I can, but that would have to mean getting these out literally everywhere, which is not an easy task. But if this became a movie, I would definitely give you all tickets to go see it.
So you already said you had a dream to write a book. What really inspired you to really write it?
I think one of the things that really inspired me to write the books were, like, back in the day, 6 years ago, whatever, Harry Potter was really big, right? And they were some of my favorite books. And I looked at J.K. Rowling and I'm like, whoa, she's a really nice author. Maybe I could be an author too. And along with as soon as I got this idea into my head, I can't get it out. So like really, I cannot write anything else until I finish writing this series, which has taken me so long, but I've dedicated so much time to it that it's become so much of a part of me now. Tell me your name.
Michael.
Michael.
And for the Annihilation one, that's like your 4th book, and then is there anything after that?
There was when I was originally thinking of the series, there was going to be a spin-off book, and it was going to deal with dragons. And I really wanted to incorporate that story somewhere into it. So what I've done with Deadlock is I've taken the entire arc of the dragon hunters, per se, and put that into half the book. And then the other half of the book is going to be the actual main story going forward. So it's going to be like a balance of 2 arcs, one in another dimension with dragons and one in the real time with the other characters.
How did you get, did you, somebody, who helped you, actually make the book?
Actually make the book, it was the CreateSpace company. Basically what they do is whenever somebody buys a book from Amazon or wherever else they find it, they print a book. They don't just print a whole bunch of books and have a bunch of overstock. They make books as they are bought. So they just assemble it and then they ship it. One of the things that happens when you win NaNoWriMo, they give you a code, and that code allows you to get 3 transactions of free books, which is really nice. I got all 3 books shipped to my house.
So you're sponsored by them?
Basically, yeah. See, you
Who inspired you to do the Dino Hunters after the series, the dinosaurs?
I think it was more of my love of the Jurassic Park movies that kind of spawned my imagination. Oh, I want to make this really cool story, but how do I make it different from the other story? I got it, dinosaurs. And that's basically how it happened. Tell me your name.
Tyler.
Tyler.
You can only get these books on Amazon?
One of the things with CreateSpace is they put it on Amazon automatically, and then you can also choose to have expanded distribution. So they are also at Barnes & Noble, only on the website though, and various other bookstores on their websites. So along with Amazon, you can have a whole bunch of branch options with the expanded of having your books go everywhere else. Tell me your name. What?
Ahmed.
Ahmed?
You can only buy books on the internet?
As of right now, yes. But I'm hoping to get them into real stores and maybe even into this library.
Bruce, and which book do you like writing the most?
Which book do I like writing the most? I would have to say definitely the second one, because there was a lot more action and a lot more I could do with a lot more of the characters. because there's this one part in the book where basically they've just gone through something really traumatic at the very end of the first one, and they're all kind of messed up afterwards, and tensions rise, and then eventually the group splits in half, and it causes a lot of bad things to happen. And kind of I had a lot of fun balancing that arc, and kind of the ways that characters die is kind of one of the things I like to do. I kind of like to mix it up of how they all get killed, which is kind of really bad to say, but it's really fun.
How long are both books? Like how many pages?
How many pages? The first one is 169, and the second one is 233. Michael?
Okay. Does this count as historical fiction?
I think it's more sci-fi than historical fiction because, like, there's not really. But there is, like, I guess you could say some history because there's really this whole series is because of some other great event that happened that's also fictitious, but it's like a great war back in the medieval times, which is like really cool. Tell me your name.
Zach. And how much are you guys like selling these online?
How much? They're $10 each as of now.
So guys, you can't use it for historical fiction book report, but you can use it for our last book report, which is going to be free choice. So that's...
Ooh, I have 10 books right now.
There you go.
You have a question?
I have a question. I've done a lot of author visits and promoted a lot of authors, probably 50 or so in the last 15 years. And every author I've ever met says the same thing, that it just takes a lot of work and a lot of writing. In fact, they all have sort of like a disciplined process. Like one, Jack Anto says he gets up at 6 a.m. every day, he makes his coffee, he works for 3 hours every single day, and then he takes care of the rest of his life. How was your process? What was your...
That was my process. My process is a lot less organized than that. What I would do is, when I started writing, I would actually, it's kind of funny how I did it. I would focus on like, okay, how do I make the chapter heading look cool? How do I make this look cool? So I'd like make the little drawings in paint, and it was really bad. And then I focused on more of the real writing process. I would go into my notes on my iPod, and I would just write a whole chapter, and then I would go later onto my email and then transfer it over into the document and format and everything. And then I would keep doing that. And at the ending of these two books, it was really hard to make everything balanced and make everything set up for the next one perfectly. I finished both of these books, writing them at 3 in the morning. So it was pretty intense.
What author inspired you the most?
It was probably J.K. Rowling, because I loved Harry Potter, but also I think now it's more inspiring to me. One of my favorite books is Ender's Game, and that author, he does such a good job of just everything.
Orson Scott Card,
yep,
guys.
he is such a good author.
Sure you have.
Any other questions, guys?
You? In the back?
Did your family like really support you?
Yeah, they did. My parents kind of thought it was a silly idea back in the day, but now that it's really out, and they're like, yeah, you can do what you want. Just get good grades. I'm like, I get good grades. I'm fine. But yeah, they've been supportive.
Did you only go to Pueblo only in 6th grade?
Yes, I went to, I was looking for other schools to go to because I didn't want to go to Corona, and the school that I found started in 7th grade, so I'm like, I guess I'll just go there in 7th grade, so I've been there ever since.
Are you ever going to start a new series of books not related to like dinosaurs?
Not related. Well, until I get every inkling left of this series out on paper, I don't quite know. Maybe I could start other, like, there could be millions of ideas in my head to write other books, but for right now it's focus on this thing, make it end really nice. It's going to end with a wedding, by the way. And
Wedding?
A wedding, yes. You have all this evil, terrible stuff and dinosaurs and death, and other things and world destruction, and then you end with a wedding.
That's nice.
Unexpected.
Like Escape from Thunder.
What?
So the main character is going to get married?
Yes. Actually, no. The main character will be married before the end of the fourth book. Actually, it'll like kind of one of those Harry Potter things, like 19 years later, and they're married. But it'll be the marriage of one of the my favorite character, who is like this goth girl named Christina, and she's a piece of work, but she's like my favorite character to draw. She's my favorite to write with because she has one of those personalities where she gets stuff done, but she can also be like really funny and like rude at the same time. So it's going to be her marriage. And then at the end, they're going to pull everybody together. Like they're going to pull like the people that were on the team that are still alive, and then their kids, and they're going to gather them around in a circle, and then they're going to tell them their story of the entire series from the very beginning. So it like keeps going in one big circle over and over again. Michael?
Can I touch or see the book?
Wait, which one?
The green one. Or Dino Hunters Part 2, Armageddon.
Did you have a question, Ahmed? Got it.
Did you know, like, did you have the whole concept of the whole series in your head when you started, or did it sort of morph as you started writing? How did it all kind of...
It kind of molded together, kind of both. Like, I knew what I wanted to do, but at the same time, when I was writing, like, oh, I should include this sub-arc, or this sub-arc, or this weird detail. So I kind of like develop it as I write it, but also I know where I want to go, but it's just a way of getting there. It's kind of weird sometimes, but it still makes it there. Ahmed?
Oh yeah. Like when you're having that gathering, like the end of the book, like it's like all humanity almost extinct or something.
No. The world's been put back in place. The world will be fine. Even though Deadlock is going to deal with like a lot of humans could probably die in the next book. So.
Okay.
Or did you reach a point where you weren't sure if you were going to be able to complete this? How did you overcome it if you did have self-doubts?
Well, one of the self-doubts that I kept having, that I'm pretty sure every author has, is like you get to the very end and a little thing in the back of your head says, well, you can't do it. This is not going to happen. And if you believe it, then it's not going to happen. But I refused to believe it and basically told myself, no, I'm going to get this done because I've worked too hard for this, and I'm going to get it done. And I got done with the first book, so happy, so gratifying, and it's no. And then same thing happened with the second one. I was writing it, things going good, and then I get to the very end, same thing comes back saying, you're not going to do this, you can't do this, give up. I'm like, no, I'm not going to give up because I can do this. And I've kind of put that into the rest of my life, how if people tell you you can't do something and it's something that you think you can do, then go out and do it. Because if you don't believe in yourself, then it's not going to happen. But if you do, anything could happen. It will surprise you what you can do.
Well, it is lunchtime. Can we give them a big hand?
One more question?
Like what was about the medieval battle you said that happened in the book?
You know what, Matt? Why don't you go talk to them right now, right now? Everybody else, push in chairs. Thanks for me.
Oh wait, guys, real quick.
Audience.
Real quick.
Thank you for doing that.
I have little slips. I think you have the slips, right?
I'll take them. Yep.
Okay.
I've got some.
I have little slips that have information of how to get the books on Amazon.
Yeah, I'll chalk it up.
Okay.
Enough, Hal.
You guys want one of the slips now? You can, but I've got some in the room, and I'll make sure
So the
on
whole
Monday we
medieval
talk
thing is
about it
basically,
again.
there was a war a long time ago between like one of the main ancestors of the good guys and the main ancestors of the bad guys. And the bad guys had the dinosaurs and the good guys had the dragons. And then they fought. And that dragon thing will kind of be weaved into part 3 as I kind of retell that whole story.
Andrew, get to lunch,
Thank you
please.
very much. Have a good weekend. Thanks, Kathy.
Let's go, guys. Everybody.
Oh yeah.
Thanks for reminding them, Yusuf. Andrew, get to lunch now. It's time.